So what we have here is a pocket watch balance, complete, and this balance has the balance collet, which is right here. It has a hairspring, which is right here, and the hairspring is held onto the balance itself with the collet. This is the balance itself. And the hairspring also has a stud. Let's just put an X here, and the stud is actually used to affix the hairspring and of course the balance to the balance cock, and the balance cock is screwed down into the watch movement. So the hairspring can be adjusted in its position, which adjusts the beat error by putting a screwdriver right in this little slot here and twisting it left or right, depending on where you want this center jewel to be. So the actual jewel, the impulse jewel, is right here, and I'll just draw the pallet fork. There's the mouth of the pallet fork that would go into the watch here, and let's just put a couple banking pins in here, and this pallet fork would be pushing the impulse jewel left or right, and thereby causing the balance itself to rotate left or right. So that's what that jewel is, and sometimes when you're doing watch repair, this jewel can be loose, and you actually have to re-shellac, if that's a word, the jewel onto the roller table. So the table is on the bottom, it's below this, so this little jewel marking here is actually below the balance, on the other side of the balance. So what we have here in the balance, you have the balance arm here, and that arm, the balance is attached to that arm. So if I look at just one side here, that's the side here, and then there's a gap right here. So that balance has the same thing going on the other side here, and it goes all the way around like that, and then there's a gap here. So if your balance is twisted in some way, you actually have to flatten that balance by grabbing it with your fingers. And the watch repairer's manual shows how you do that to make sure it's true to flat. And then you can pull this thing out or in as well to make sure it's true to round. So I'm not going to get into that right now, but that finely adjusting your balance so it's absolutely true to flat and true to round is necessary if the balance has been played with before. The other things you have is timing screws on either side. So this side and this side, you have timing screws. And these screws are brought out or in depending on whether you want to slow the watch down or speed it up. So if you're slowing the watch down, you're taking these screws and you're moving them out. And just like a figure skater, when they pull their arms out, they slow down. When they pull them in, they speed up. Same thing here. So you're adjusting these, and they have to be adjusted in the exact same amount. So I do perhaps a quarter turn on both sides and then remeasure and do another quarter turn. What you're doing this for, you can do this with these screws or what's called the mean time screws, which are here, mean time screws. And they're on, of course, on both sides, right? And what you're trying to do is just make sure that when you've got your watch complete, and we draw this here, so you've got your balance like that, and you've got your, I'll say this is your balance cock here, and you've got your regulator arm here. So this arm will go left or right. when you pull this way, you're increasing the virtual length of the hairspring here. And when you pull it this way, you're decreasing it, which will speed the watch up. Got to clear my throat here. Excuse me. So when you regulate a watch, you want to try as much as best you can to keep this regulator arm here right in the center, right? And your balance cock will have an S on this side and an F on the other side if it's a typical North American watch for slowing it down and speeding it up. So I have serviced watches where this arm is hard over on one side like this, which means the watch, in order to slow it down, I've had to move it all the way over here, which means the watch is running way too fast. And if the watch is running way too fast, did I need to adjust these screws over here on both sides, or the mean time screws here to virtually speed that watch up, or excuse me, in this case, slow that watch down. So you have to play with that to get that right. And once you can use these screws to get that arm back to center. And then once you've gotten that arm back to center, then you can finally adjust the actual bounce, the amplitude of the bounce and the beat error. So the beat error, effectively you're looking at, again, this is underneath the watch, the roller table. You're trying to make sure that the bounce swings in one direction, the same uh, amount of degrees that it would swing in the other direction when it's pushed by the pallet fork, and pushing the impulse jewel and moving that balance back and forth. So this is quite a mess. So this is a trial of trying to use my pen and my Apple iPad and other stuff to talk about the balance. So please don't take this as a professional presentation, but I'm just putting it out there and seeing if you guys like this kind of a format of explaining stuff. Because I can take any photo now and draw on that and then talk about what I'm trying to explain. So that's it. So let's just scribble up all over the place here and get rid of this. That's it.